to the Midland and the Atlantic. Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned. may work from dusk to dawn, but a woman's work is never done. Undoubtedly, moms deserve to be celebrated because they are always putting others ahead of themselves. Mother's Day is the perfect opportunity to stop and reflect on all of her hard work.
Of course, Mother's Day isn't just a day for celebrating your own mother. It's a day for honoring all women in your life who support and nurture you, from your sister to your grandmother. It's also a chance to wish a happy Mother's Day to the mothers in Ambazonia who are bearing the brunt of the war.
Sometimes, the best way to thank Mother Ambazonia is with a simple and heartfelt message. Not all of us can write like Shakespeare, and it can be difficult to put our feelings into words.
That's why we're calling on all women, men, old, young to say Happy Mother's Day by getting a copy of the book Echoes of Women's Tears.
Echoes of Women's Tears is one platform where the Ambazonian woman gets some closure from the pain of losing their own in the senseless war.
Echoes of Women's Tears, a 21st century genocide in the former British Southern Cameroons. Get your copy today.
The Ambazonian mother, pains in thorns, cries out blood as she sees her own maimed and wasted. Her joy of childbirth turns out bloody. While we may not be able to feel the weight of the pain of what the Ambazonian mother is carrying all through, we do know that recognizing her this day would mean a lot of hope for her. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal, love leaves a memory no one can steal. For our love for you, Mama, we will beat Cameroon out of Ambazonia. We will win the war. Sooner than later your tears of agony will suddenly become tears of melody. Happy Mother's Day, Mother Ambazonia.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft. The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, "Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society."
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, "When you know better, then you do better." Ambazonians, watch ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
Now is the era of self-defense. From effective personal self-defense to legitimate Ambazonia community protection programs. To stop the wanton destruction of lives and our property in Ambazonia. We are therefore going to work to accredit and embrace all self-defense and security groups that will endorse our IG rules of engagement. I will be reaching out to all in the days ahead. I hereby wish to extend an olive branch to all movements and our able activists in this struggle to bring in their best contributions on my table, and let's serve our great country now together more than ever before. I will be giving all Ambazonians a direct hotline to send in their suggestions. We need to fund the struggle now. Our brothers and sisters on ground zero are paying for the war with their blood. we must sell our jewels and deny ourselves every comfort to pay for our freedom with our last might. Fellow Ambazonians, I have convened the National Security Advisory Council for the first time in the month of March. This convocation shall bring together all principal actors to strategize and build a suitable platform to organize and strengthen our community's resolve to defend the only place we call home and our millions of desperate lives on ground zero. Every inch of British Southern Cameroon shall be free. Be it known that we have secured the participation of all major self-defense groups. The interim government aims at providing leadership, not ownership, of our laudable self-defense initiatives. This joint platform will equally ensure good organization, coordination, and efficiency in this very vital domain of our struggle, self-defense. We will soon form a formidable joint defense unit with all major factions to confront the enemy as one man. In reply to their many genocidal assaults against our peace-loving people of Ambazonia, we have decided to match French Cameroon's terrorists pound for pound in record time. We can no longer sit and wait for our villages to be burnt down by Bia's barbaric army, or our youth killed or maimed at random by bloodthirsty and trigger-happy terrorist soldiers. We now need the best skills, the best brains, the best capabilities, and our best fight to get us all to Boya as soon as possible.
Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Government of the Federal Republic has finally reacted. Dr. Martin Mungwa has sent a statement by the interim government on fake news propagated by some French Cameroon-sponsored media outlets. Proactive. Meanwhile, Undaunted continues to decode other sources of fake news that could be of great concern to the Ambazonian liberation fight. The Cameroonian National Oil and Gas Corporation, SNH, denied any involvement in the Glencore corruption case. Seriously? We will definitely find out the truth about that. The lawsuits are the actions and or reactions of some of the coup plotters based on ignorance and or arrogance What's the truth with the accounts of the National Treasury? Our 22 pre-draft launch is a few hours away. What should Ambazonians expect? What's happening with the accounts? These are some of the concerns we will be examining tonight. And also to high sign, the UK is throwing a once-in-a-lifetime celebration for Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee. The 96-year-old Queen is the first British monarch in history to reach a Platinum Jubilee, which marks 70 years on the throne. We will give you some snippets of the celebrations, but before then, let's get the prime headline.
And this is the prime headlines. The Cameroonian National Oil and Gas Corporation (SNH) denied any involvement in the Glencore corruption case. The UK is throwing a once-in-a-lifetime celebration for Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee. Dr. Martin Mungwe had sent a statement by the interim government on fake news propagated by some French Cameroon-sponsored media outlets. Monday released or rescued. Who is lying? Sources say more than 80 million CFA was paid to the ADF both by family and government. Award 22 pre-draft launch is a few days away. What's happening? Who is drafting? Coup plotters' actions and reactions are based on arrogance or ignorance or both, says an observer. I am Oni Okbala. Let's meet right after the break for full briefings of Undaunted tonight. Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee 2022. All the best moments of the royal family so far, Undaunted. ABC Amba News has the details, and that's where we begin tonight's full briefings with Undaunted. I am Onyi Okmala, and as usual, I will be doing this with Star Smart.
Good evening, Onyi. Fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen, royal family joined Queen Elizabeth II and held her court on the balcony of Buckingham Palace on Thursday, where the royal family gathered to watch the military fly past at the end of Trooping the Colour. The UK is throwing a once-in-a-generation celebration for Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee. The 96-year-old Queen is the first British monarch in history to reach a Platinum Jubilee, which marks 70 years on the throne. Queen Elizabeth ascended to the throne on February 6, 1952, following the death of her father, King George IV.
Britain's royal family, led by Queen Elizabeth II, gathered on the balcony of Buckingham Palace to watch a traditional military fly past at the end of the Trooping the Colour. Thanks in part to a weather-cooperating beautiful sunny day in London, aircraft from the Royal Navy, British Army and Royal Air Force were able to fly directly down the length of the moor and over the palace. The Queen, wearing sunglasses, watched the flypast with other members of the royal family, including Prince William's and Kate's children, Prince Louis, Prince George, and Princess Charlotte, who were seen talking with the Queen.
Queen Elizabeth II, the most recognizable person in the world, as reported by CNN's Sarah Grace Mancorius, she's been photographed, painted, and graffitied. She's been struck on coins, cast in irons, silked, screened onto t-shirts, and fired onto plates. There's even a Barbie doll in her likeness. At 96 years old, the longest-serving monarch in Britain's history celebrates 7 decades on the throne this year. Queen Elizabeth II's reign has seen the proliferation of color photography, the commercialization of television, and the pervasiveness of the internet and screens, big and small. Over this time, her image has been widely circulated throughout the world over, making the Queen one of the most recognizable faces in history. As the UK celebrates a 4-day holiday weekend for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, explore some actions for discussion.
Now, let's start with Prince Andrew's test positive for COVID-19. Prince Andrew, the second oldest son of the Queen Elizabeth II, has tested positive for COVID-19, a royal source told ABC News. Andrew's diagnosis came as the Queen celebrates her Platinum Jubilee, marking 70 years on the throne. He was expected to join the royal family on Friday at a service of Thanksgiving at St. Paul's Cathedral, but will no longer attend, according to the royal source. After undertaking a routine test, the Duke has tested positive for COVID-19 and with regret will no longer be attending tomorrow's service, said this particular source. As expected, Andrew did not appear with the royal family on Thursday at Trooping the Colour because he is no longer an active senior royal, including having returned his military titles and royal patronages to the Queen earlier this year.
President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden tweeted a video message congratulating the Queen. We would like to watch.
Your Majesty, congratulations on your Platinum Jubilee. For 70 years, you've inspired people with your selfless devotion and service to the people of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. And throughout your reign, the relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States has grown stronger and closer than ever.
Throughout the years, the joy your visits to the United States have brought Americans and your solidarity with the American people in times of tragedy have deepened the friendship and profound connection between our countries. And Joe and I were so touched by the generosity and welcome you showed to us when we visited you at Windsor Castle last year during our first visit overseas as President and First Lady.
On behalf of the people of the United States, we send you our best wishes to you and the people around the world marking this momentous and historic occasion.
Congratulations, Your Majesty, and have a wonderful Platinum Jubilee celebration.
As it stands, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, will not join family members for a Platinum Jubilee Thanksgiving service at St. Paul's Cathedral in London on Friday after testing positive for coronavirus. This is really serious, though.
Really? The royal source said that, quote, after undertaking a routine test, the Duke has tested positive for COVID and with regret will no longer be attending tomorrow's service.
He has seen his mother in the last few days, but has been undertaking regular testing and has not seen her since he tested positive, the source added. Prince Andrew was stripped of royal duties and his Royal Highness title in January in the wake of his civil sexual assault lawsuit in the U.S. He has since settled that suit out of court, but his lengthy association with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein has severely tarnished his reputation, and his involvement in the weekend had posed awkward questions for the organizers.
Of all the messages, one caught our attention, and with keen interest we would like to look and scrutinize very closely. Macron sends the Queen a horse for her Platinum Jubilee.
Well, very interesting. French President Emmanuel Macron has gifted Queen Elizabeth II a horse for her Platinum Jubilee.
Fabuleux de Macour, a 7-year-old grey gelding, was gifted with a ceremonial saddle and a cavalry sabre. In a statement, the French embassy said, the shapeliness and elegance of the horse, a 7-year-old standard bearer for the Garde Républicaine, epitomizes French horse breeding. Fabuleux de Macour was part of Macron's escorts on the Champs-Élysées during the VE Day commemorations last month.
The horse was accepted on behalf of the Queen by Lord Rupert du Mallet, the Master of the Horse, inside Windsor Castle on Wednesday. That's not all. Macron sent a well-explicit message to the Queen in English.
We would like you to watch the video message with some keen interest as we come back for commentaries.
Madame, during the past 70 years, the President of the French Republic has relied on very few constants at the international level. Times have changed. Europe has evolved. Our continent is again experiencing war. Throughout these transformations, your devotion to our alliance and to our friendship has remained and has helped build the trust that brought freedom and prosperity to our continent. Since your first state visit to France, when you were welcomed to Paris by a generation who, alongside your army, navy and air force, had fought for the freedom we now enjoy, you have visited us many times. You have shared our joys and seen the deep affection and admiration that the people of France have for you. You have also visited the graves where so many of your young men lie and seen the respect and honor we constantly pay to those who sent from your homes to protect ours. You are the golden thread that binds our two countries, the proof of the unwavering friendship between our nations. Your first toast to one of my predecessors, René Coty, reminded us that trust and understanding should endure forever. Your words were matched by a lifetime of devotion to our alliance. From the dark days when your family welcomed General de Gaulle in your home, to his joy to welcome you in his, you have been a constant presence and a source of wisdom for the leaders of our two countries. This year, the 70th of your reign, we celebrate your achievements. We are grateful for your courage and we share the respect and love that the British people and Commonwealth have always shown you. Vous êtes notre ami, notre si proche allié, notre exemple de service aux autres. Vous célébrez aujourd'hui, c'est célébrer l'amitié sincère et profonde qui unit nos deux pays et votre dévouement pour la servir. Votre Majesté, j'ai le privilège de vous adresser, au nom du peuple français, mes félicitations les plus sincères pour votre jubilé de platine.
You could hear from the horse's own mouth, the horse gift giver, Macron, that France and Britain have both been partners in crime for ages. The former British Southern Cameroons, today Ambazonia, was and is their victim.
Yes, the horse gift giver said it for all to hear. His assertion there can only bring to memory the dark history of Ambazonia. This provokes us to look back at the decolonization process of the two Cameroons.
The union between the former French Cameroon and the British Southern Cameroons on October 1st, 1961, to form the Federal Republic of Cameroon was a unique experiment in nation building and the struggle for independence in Africa. What an experiment! For instance, the Union des Populations du Cameroun UPC, the first truly nationalist party in the former French trusteeship that advocated immediate independence and reunification with the British Cameroons, was banned in May 1955 by French colonial authorities because of its radical views, since France was still reluctant to grant its African colonies complete independence.
For France, the choice of who and which party could lead the territory to independence depended on who French authorities thought could guarantee continued relations with France following independence. At the end, Amadou Ahidjo and his Union Cameroonese UC emerged as the best candidate to meet France's objectives in the post-colonial Cameroon. On the other hand, because of the colonial arrangement that allowed Britain to administer its section of the former German colony as part of its colony of Nigeria to the west, the nationalist struggle took a different trajectory and was more against Nigerian rather than British colonial administration.
In other words, for many Southern Cameroonians, the focus by the two major parties, Cameroon National Democratic Party (KNDP) and Cameroon's People National Convention (CPNC), during the campaign leading to the plebiscite on February 11, 1961, was whether the territory should be part of the Republic of Cameroon, which was engulfed in violence and bloodshed following its independence on January 1, 1960, or face the threat of Igbo domination if Southern Cameroonians decided to become part of an independent Nigeria. As we narrate this story, you can clearly see the fraud.
Say it louder. This fraud has also provoked a growing body of literature on what was originally envisioned as a free political association of the French and British Cameroons, and its dramatic effect on the British Cameroons community. Ambazonia writers like Professor Ayangwe, Pa Augustine and Dangam have books with the endeavor to write the history of the Southern Cameroons from a legal perspective and factual.
The question would always be, why the distortion of history? Who is hiding what and why? The authoritative works of Ambazonian scholars in relatively great detail ensures the story of La Republique du Cameroon's annexation and colonization of the Southern Cameroons following the achievement of its independence, while highlighting the seeming complicity of the United Nations and the British Trusteeship Authority.
In the process, researchers like Ayangwe unravels a number of myths created by the main actors to justify these injustices, and, in the end, makes useful suggestions to reverse their situation and to restore statehood to the Southern Cameroons. The books are rich in archival research and informed by a global perspective. It convincingly shows the uniqueness of the Southern Cameroons case.
You know, it is important during such moments for us to always refresh the minds of the post-Rwanda genocide world to the fraud and the ongoing genocide in Ambazonia. Now we have our news director Tapadi King in the house, and we're to have Nijo as well in the house. Just to be sure they're already present, I'd like to get a feedback from both of you, sirs.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me? I just want to be sure that
Yes,
you can
very
hear
well.
me. Okay, I've been having issues with my connection. I believe Nijo is certainly touring with the president. I've tried to get, before the news closes, perhaps we could have him to join us talk more on the draft. The subject with which you want to get my opinion has to do with the horse. What did you call it? You said the horse gift, the horse giver. Now the horse's own mouth, we can hear that they have been partners for long. Yes, the relationship between Great Britain and France is clear. Great Britain has always been friends with France in wars, in criminal affairs in Amazonia. And you just read an expose there that explains it even clearer than I would want to explain the decolonization, I would say botched decolonization of the former British Southern Cameroons, today Amazonia. And it is no doubt that Britain continues to back France in the crimes that France is orchestrating all around the world, even in Amazonia today. France has particularly been very silent in the war in southern Cameroon. We are aware that the Cameroonian army is enhanced by France. There is an accord with France to back the French Cameroon in any war. And therefore, it is just but logical that Ambazonians should say it audaciously that France is fighting the war and killing the people in Ambazonia. France was directly involved in the Kumban conference. France was directly involved in the fraud of so-called union. Today there is a confusion whether it should be called a reunification. You have other writers trying to argue that it was not a reunification because these were two distinct states with their separate boundaries and coming together to form a nation. Therefore, it is a unification. Both arguments have their advantages and disadvantages from both angles. Ambazonians will preferably want to call it a unification, not a reunification, because Cameroon, in their mind, trying to call it a reunification, they are trying to push through the narrative that it was a German Cameroon that was brought back to existence. But that we have clearly and outrightly and historically
rubbished that narrative because history, it defies history. Now, there was a question you asked there, Star Smart, from what we've just heard in a day like this when the world is celebrating the Queen of England. Ambazonia is reflecting on the fact that the Queen of England was alive and was queen at the time that Britain abandoned the decolonization process in Ambazonia. So Ambazonians are sending a vexing message, not a celebration message. Ambazonians, by default, are frowning at the Queen, that she's still alive and enhancing the process. She has not done anything to ensure that the statehood, the stolen independence of the peoples of Ambazonia be restored. History has it. We have exhaustively expanded on that during our editorials. The news conference was a lecture, an extensive lecture of the history. Now the question is, who was hiding the history and why? When you find politicians hide history, it's because of evil intentions. It's because they want to change the narrative. I tell you, what I wrote in school during the GCE is not what we are listening today. And so why did they hide this? Because of the power of information, the power of what is in the mind of anyone. They will not want Amazonians to know the truth. They will not want the people to do anything. And that's some of the strategies that were employed. And it took us close to 55 years to make a categoric stand. Some of our predecessors did so, wrote petitions, but nothing happened. Cameroon had advantage on everything. Cameroon had advantage on the media and took advantage of the media and manipulated our people, imposed educational systems that were not appropriate. And that's how the current fight started in 2016, because the peoples were protesting against it, were fighting against it, and our lawyers were categoric against it. The teachers were categoric against it. And Cameroon, to prove that they had an evil agenda, thought that the best way out was force. This is where we are today.
All right, thank you for that contribution there. Thank you for clearing that out. Just hang on there. I think we'll move on with the news now.
You can see on the screen behind us pictures of official delegates to the Amba 1961 conference, courtesy John Outings Abanda, plus list of official delegates. We'll give you that below.
For the record, the list of delegates and officials of Southern Cameroons at the Fumban Conference, 17 to 21st July 1961, courtesy John Althing Abanda. Government representatives, Honorable J.N. Foncha, MHA, Honorable A.N. Jua, MHA, Honorable S.T. Muna, Honorable P.M. Kemcha, MHA.
Also House of Chiefs, Fon of Bafud, Fon of Bali, Fon of Mankon, Fon of Uso, Chief of Kimbosi, Chief of Boa, Chief Oben, Chief Ebanja, Chief D. Boko. KNDP representatives, Mr. Mbinka, Mr. Fontem, Mr. Tamfu, Mr. Kinney, Mr. Kome, Mr. Carr. CPNC representatives, Dr. Endele, MHA, Mr. Mbili, MHA, Mr. Motumbi Waleta, MHA, Reverend Andose, MHA. We also have the OK representatives. Mr. Ntumaza did not attend our last meeting. Mr. Mukong, Mr. George Mbaraga represented Ntumaza.
And the list goes on and on and on. We also have officials, Honorable Attorney General Mr. B.G. Smith, MHA, Conference Secretary Mr. J. Dixon, Private Secretary to the Premier Mr. O.A. Bokwe, Interpreter Dr. B. Funlon, Publicity Officer Mr. Abander, Secretary Mrs. E.N. Lima, Secretary Miss B. Hawksworth, Secretary Miss S. Deacon, Photographer Mr. E. Mwaye. With these details, you want to ask, but where is the confusion whether or not Ambazonia should have a government coming from? Right after the break, we will bring you interim government position on the media fraud of La Republique du Cameroon.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
A statement officially released from Dr. Mungwe's office, statement by the interim government on Fakei, news propagated by some French Cameroon-sponsored media outlets.
The statement by the interim government on fake news propagated by some French Cameroon-sponsored media outlets, the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia condemns the continuous falsehood propagated by pay-to-play media outlets sponsored by French Cameroon, La Republique du Cameroon. The news story captioned, "Amba fighters invade Nigeria, kill over 20 in Cross River State." Published by the Guardian Post Daily with headquarters in Volgier, Yaoundé on May 31st, 2022. Is not only false but intended to tarnish the reputation of our valiant organization, Restoration Forces, Ambazonian Restoration Forces, as well as provoke neighboring Nigeria to review its policy to the disadvantage of our liberation quest.
However, news outlets in Nigeria are debunking these allegations. In The Guardian, a Nigerian publication of May 30th, 2022, the police command in Cross River State referred to the allegation as a sports and subversive claim. The command, through its public relations officer, Irene Ubo, in a statement, advised residents to disregard the claims below. Below is an excerpt from the Guardian Post on the matter. The command hereby advises members of the public to disregard this information currently trending on social media platforms so as it's subversive. Measures are being taken to review the source of these distasteful information intended to spread fear and panic, Ubo said in the statement. Consequent upon the above, the police command hereby warns the respective bloggers, online operators, to always cross-check facts from established authorities before sending such unverified information for public consumption. Finally, the police command is resolute in discharging her statutory functions in collaboration with other sister agencies to keep the state peaceful and safe at all times.
And in another news outlet called Punch, the same allegation was discredited. Additionally, we have learned that more than 500 refugees from Ambazonia have fled into the Bashu community in Boki local government area. We don't know if this is a result of the allegations, but we intend to investigate the source of this outrageous claim. In the meantime, we hope that UNHCR will provide some assistance to our displaced refugees. With regards to the claim, it should be noted that Ambazonia is home to over 500,000 Nigerians, and we have never attacked any since the beginning of the war with La Republique du Cameroon. Presently, there are more than 60,000 registered Ambazonian refugees, as well as hundreds of thousands of others unregistered in Nigeria. These refugees are our grandparents, parents, brothers, sisters, and children, and there is absolutely no rationale for any of our ARFs to attack those who have provided our desperate and embattled people a temporary heaven away from Ambazonia.
We call on the Nigerian government to investigate this matter thoroughly so that justice can be served. It should be recalled that an attack carried out on the people of Taraba State in November 2021 was prematurely attributed to separatist forces, but further investigation pointed to Paul Biya's genocidal forces BRR of French Cameroon, La République du Cameroon, as the perpetrators of the attack, resulting in death. The intention of the enemy, French Cameroon, in planning and carrying out raids and killings in neighboring Nigerian localities is to induce the federal government of Nigeria to take a more aggressive policy towards our liberation struggle to the advantage of the enemy. Once more, we want to reassure the federal government of Nigeria and the peace-loving people of Nigeria that our liberation forces, the ARFs, have no interest whatsoever in attacking the hospitality of the people of Nigeria towards our refugees.
Indeed, we are also grateful to the Nigerian press for sharing our story in the past few months. We hope they continue to do so for the sake of truth and justice, especially at this time when the worst genocide so far in the 21st century is being classified as the list covered by the international media. You can get this detailed document on the website www.abcambatv.com.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
After the controversy, what's your opinion? Our response to the rescue of Senator Regina Mundi is here.
We have an inclusive observation of the Mundi arrest, rescue and/or release cinema. And we will advise that you follow very closely. On April 30th, 2022, the Ambazonian Defense Force ADF announced that they had taken Madame Regina Mundi, a female Cameroon senator, into custody for treasonable offenses against the Ambazonian people. Senator Regina Mundi, currently in her 80s, hails from the Tuba local government area in the Midland state of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, also known as the Southern Cameroons. Senator Regina Mundi, a teacher by career, is also member of the 15-member strong political bureau of the ruling Cameroon's People's Democratic Party, the CPDM. A long-term party supporter and activist, Madame Mundi has been in politics since the 1970s when she first served of the then CNU party, and later subsection president for Bafut, and section president for the then Grand Mesem from 1986 to 1996. She was allegedly traveling to her constituency of Tuba to attend a funeral when she was taken into custody along with her driver by elements of the Ambazonian Defense Forces, allegedly with the complicity of Cameroon security agents in what some have termed a staged kidnapping.
According to a source from the colonial governor's office in Bamenda, in the Midland state, the ADF, after claiming responsibility for the abduction, demanded both the release of political prisoners as well as a ransom payment for her release. It must be noted here that as a matter of policy, the interim government of Ambazonia, led by His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikomesako, is vehemently opposed to abductions for ransom because the objective of the interim government is to liberate the southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, from the brutal genocidal occupation of French Cameroon, and not to make money from ransom payments. Having the overwhelming support of the Ambazonian people on the ground and in the diaspora, the interim government relies on the patriotic support of our people in prosecuting our war of national liberation. Our struggle is a partnership between legitimate leadership and our people on the ground, and it is this sacred trust that keeps inspiring us as we fight to liberate our country from the stranglehold of colonial Cameroon.
The Ambazonian Defense Forces accused Senator Mundi of collaborating with Cameroon central government and demanded 47 Ambazonian leaders to be free from prison in return for her release. Those whose release was demanded included Sesiku Ayuk Tabe and Dr. Mfo Ngala Mfo, both Ambazonian leaders serving a life sentence in Cameroon Central Prison in Yaoundé. A footage of the senator had emerged earlier with her kidnappers requesting the release of the said Ambazonian leaders before May 20th or else she would be killed. From our investigations, no rescue mission was carried out by the Cameroonian security forces as they claimed and as insinuated by the Ambazonian Defense Forces. So we have reason to believe that there was an exchange of money between the Cameroon government and the ADF to effect the release of Senator Mundi. As stated earlier, the interim government of Amazonia strongly condemns any such exchange as it commercializes our struggle and constitutes an insult to the blood of our fallen heroes, whose sacrifices was driven by sheer patriotism and love for country. In her initial statements after her release, Senator Regina Mundi stated that Cameroon and the region is at war, an admission that the government in Yaoundé is not ready to make yet, as they continue to give the international community the impression that the Ambazonian restoration movement has been defeated.
In their initial release, the Cameroon government claims that they managed to rescue Senator Regina Mundi after what a spokesman called 2 days of heavy battles with rebels who had taken her hostage. Cameroon military spokesman Sage Cyril Atong Fak said in a press release that the clashes took place from May 29th to 30th in Ashong in the Batibo local government area in the Midland state of Ambazonia. According to his claim, separatists tried to escape, advancing government troops on Sunday with 6 hostages, including Senator Mundi, but that the troops stopped the rebels, killing 10 of them and capturing 3 without any harm to the captives. The military, however, did not identify the other hostages but said they were receiving medical treatment after the ordeal. It must be noted that many had earlier suspected that the whole kidnapping affair might have been staged by Cameroon forces with the collaboration of the Ambazonia Defense Forces, as an equally staged rescue release support this line of argument.
That's why the interim government of Amazonia, led by His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, remains the legitimate government and official representative body of the Amazonian people on the ground and in the diaspora. Meanwhile, the interim government continues to call for the resignation of all Amazonian citizens still working for and collaborating with the colonial regime of French Cameroon against the interests of their country of birth. The interim government equally calls on the Amazonian people to stand by legitimate authority, shy away from all dubious activities in the name of the Amazonia, and to remember that our God-ordained struggle is not for sale. Now let's make some progress with the news.
SNH denies any involvement in the Glencore bribery case. The Cameroonian National Oil and Gas Corporation, SNH, denied any involvement in the Glencore corruption case, while the Anglo-Swiss trader has admitted paying bribes to the Cameroonian company. The latter rejects these accusations.
And this is what he says, quote, "We want to inform the national and international public that SNH has absolutely nothing to do with such practices, which are strictly prohibited in our internal regulations," said the SNH Director General in a May 30th statement. Aldofe Mudiki pictured stress that SNH has also requested that American and English authorities provide the evidence that proves the allegations are true. He promises to inform public opinions in due course of the outcome of the SNH request. Before U.S. courts, Glencore admitted that between 2007 and 2018, it and its subsidiaries paid approximately $79.6 million to intermediary companies to obtain undue benefits. The goal was to obtain and retain contracts with public and state-controlled entities in the West African countries of Nigeria, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, and Equatorial Guinea. The multinational has admitted to concealing bribe payments by entering into false consulting agreements, paying inflated invoices, and using intermediary companies to bribe foreign officials. In La Republic du Cameroon, Glencore claims to have paid 7 billion francs CFA in bribes to senior officials of SNH and Sinora to secure oil contracts.
These revelations led the Ambazonian-born enabler black lawyer Akere Muna, former president of the Cameroon Bar Association and former vice president of Transparency International, to refer the matter to the president of the National Anti-Graft Commission, CONAC. He wrote a letter on May 27 to denounce the admission of corrupt practices by Glencore PLC and the consequences for SNH and Sonora. Mr. Muna called on the Anti-Graft Commission to open a one-of-a-kind investigation into this sordid affair that involves two of Cameroon's most important public enterprises. For his part, the opposition MP Joshua Osei sent a motion for a resolution to the President of the National Assembly on May 27th for the establishment of a parliamentary commission of inquiry into the matter. His colleague Jean-Michel Nichel called for the opening of in-depth investigation by the Chamber of Accounts and the ANIF, that is the National Agency for Financial Investigation.
You know what, Oni? These people are not fighting on fossil deposits in La Republic du Cameroon, but in Ambazonia. Can you imagine that?
Not surprising at all. They will kill every living soul just because of the rich oil deposits in Ambazonia.
Ambazonian activist Nelson Uchiba, in his obvious mannerism, reacts with a Facebook post he captions, "Hypocrisy and double standards by La Republic du Cameroon." He went further to write, and I read, "For over a week, La Republic du Cameroon news and social outlets are crying foul, injustice, manipulations, lack of accountability, wrongdoing because of Glencore oil deal. They want justice to be rendered and what is due should be paid to La Republic du Cameroon that they can cheat them or their resources. On their resources. They quote Sonara and oil fields in Mudemba. What this La Republic du Cameroon people are not telling you is that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. They don't tell you Glencore deals are all in Southern Cameroon. Who gave La Republic du Cameroon the legal rights to sell Southern Cameroon's natural resources? The Indian people, where the oil fields are located, have been neglected for decades while strangers sell their resources. If we must talk of injustice, then Southern Cameroons and Indian should be the ones to cry foul, not colonial French Cameroon.
Comrade Ochiba says, "You now see why La Republic du Cameroon is waging a genocidal war against Southern Cameroons with the complicity of some Southern Cameroons house slaves eating crumbs from their francophone slave masters. All because they want to own and exploit all of our resources for the benefit of their families and their colonial French Cameroon, while our people live and die in misery in their own homeland. The earlier all Ambazonians stand up and chase La Republic du Cameroon to her 1st January 1960 boundaries, the better. We can't live with people who don't value human life, people who are out to enslave us in our own homeland. If you're from Ambazonia, how much has your community gained from what La Republic du Cameroon has been exploiting in your community? Southern Cameroons never signed any cooperation pact with France, and why must La Republic du Cameroon exploit Ambazonia resources to pay its colonial taxes to France?"
This is what Uchiba thinks, and he concludes by advising Ambazonians, Quote again, join your local government areas and draft like never before so we can provide enough popcorns and shoulder sticks to our ARFs to smoke these colonial invaders and slave masters out of our homeland, Ambazonia. End of quote. I think this is the right time to talk about the draft. Only what do you think?
Oh yes, the Award 22 pre-draft launch is just a few hours away. We can't wait. Let's ride it.
Right after the break.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft. The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
It is a few hours away. What's happening? Is the Treasury ready? Are the people ready? Before we get into that, I understand that the Chief of Staff has sent out an inspiring message. What do you think, Star?
Oh, in this beautifully crafted inspirational invitation, Dr. Anderson Kajang, Director of Cabinet for Amazonia, captions, and I read, do you want to remain a slave of La Republic du Cameroon in perpetuity or total and unconditional independence? He continues to say, fellow Ambazonians, let's draft, draft, and draft, as if this revolution was the only food we can feed to gain the momentum to liberate ourselves from bondage. This is sweet sounding, Oyi. What do you think?
Yes, Dr. Kajang says, let every member of the People's IG draft, especially the presidency, the judiciary, and the legislative, please play your patriotic role. As the foundation of the government is built on the precincts, local government areas, and counties, so is the power of these governments. Without this foundation, the government remains porous and short-lived. We call on the precincts, counties, and the 61 local government areas to draft to fuel the government of the people, by the people, and for the people of Ambazonia. If we don't draft, what other alternatives can we use as a people to defend, protect, and liberate ourselves from enablers and invaders, La Republic du Cameroon? Without the draft, is there a magic wand that this government can use to free us from slavery?
He continues to say, without this government, who else is out there fighting for us to be free forever? Is it the Koopas, the scammers who extort our people on a daily basis, or the dramatists hiding in groups and stealing from our coffers to form a parallel government? Please be wise in contributing cash, not unfulfilled pledges year in and year out. Remember, no one out there can liberate Ambazonia except Ambazonians who contribute positively in this government. Please come and join us to draft, draft, and draft, as if that is our only means of survival. Those were the sweet words of Dr. Anderson Kajang, the Director of Cabinet.
All right, I'm sure the Director of Resource Mobilization is now available. Yes, you know, we're supposed to have him earlier. He wasn't, but right now I'm so certain that he is available. All right, Nijo, are you here?
I am, of course, and sincere apologies I kept you waiting.
Nice to see those smiles.
Can you hear me?
So what's happening? Is the Treasury ready? Do you think that the people are ready?
Of course, let me, of course, pay my respect to you fabulous ladies and your team, and, of course, my traditional 21 gun salute to our ARF on home front. Yes, we had a very pleasant pre-draft experience last night, and I expect most of us and most of your viewers do have experience cooking. You know, when you're cooking our African delicious dishes with all sorts of spices, At every stage of your cooking, you want to make sure that everything is in okay. You're not over salting, or one spice is not dominating the order. That's what we did yesterday. We wanted our cabinet, our leaders, our members of the interim House of Representatives, the Ethics Council, the judiciary, all of the arms of the government. We wanted to find out from them how prepared they are for Saturday. And I can assure you the results were very, very encouraging. And as you read from DCAF's write-out, Dr. Kejang, no one else is going to liberate Ambazonians, but Ambazonians. And we're not going to stay slaves for the Republic any longer. And this draft we've termed one that is very likely to be your last opportunity to draft. So we tested, as I said earlier, and everything is in order for tomorrow, Saturday's main national launch. Unless you have specific questions, I can go through the counties with you, and you can see how prepared they were. Dunga Mantung was present; they were ready. And this indicated yesterday how much they have in their coffers already. $8,000. KMC is already on 13.5. Bui on 12,000. The BLM of all places, 6,000 already. And this was yesterday. So I might have some of these figures I'm reading now would probably be below what we're expecting. Is already shut up. And then the Federal Capital Territory, of course, lit the whole event yesterday with $23,000. And then came Mezam, the mighty Mezam, but just one of the 7 LGAs was very proud to announce $11,000 pledge. Now, this is one of 7 LGAs in Mezam County with 11,000. So it was a good gauge, and then we went on to all the other departments, but we missed out on Momo representation, Indian representation, Manu, which is one of our big counties, and of course Meme. So these 4 other counties, we meeting with the people of Momo this evening, and I can surely update you tomorrow on that, or on Saturday just before the event. And the other counties, we're doing manual meeting. They should be reporting to us soon, and of course Meme and Momo. So as you can tell, as far as the counties are concerned, all of our 13 counties are ready. The figures are there, as they indicated. As I've said, only 4 are going to confirm, and we're going to confirm those of Momo later tonight. And of course, in the departments, all of the departments are ready. And don't forget that every leader, every Secretary of State, every cabinet member is going back to their LGAs and their counties to draft there. So all of the departments that we had representatives yesterday came up to confirm that we are 10 of us, all of us are drafting. We are 3 of us, all of us are drafted. With 25 of us, in fact, the Chief of Staff did confirm yesterday that the 25 members of her cabinet have all indicated that they have drafted in their various counties. And then all the other sections, DCAF reported that of the 22 directorates at the presidency and the staff at the presidency, 22 of them, all of them already indicated that they've drafted at their various LGAs. So it's a draft that we're focusing on the LGAs, and the purpose is to make sure that nobody is left out. Even if you are in leadership or not leadership, we're giving you an opportunity to make sure your name is inscribed on this history book. This almost final draft. That's me done, unless you have another question.
Indeed, that was really, really expository and really self-displaying. Like, it shows that the draft of every Ambazonia is really like their drafting, like it's their last. Their readiness is obviously getting to the peak. Thank you so much, Nijo. It's always nice to have you here and elaborate on this matters concerning your department. It's nice to have you here, sir, and thanks for that contribution.
My pleasure.
All right, Mr. Paddy, I don't know if you'd like to add to what Nijo just said now.
Yeah, I think the best person to always, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. I believe that the best person to always talk elaborately, and that's why I was insisting and calling Nijo at the back to come here and give to us some of these statistics. I will come sometimes not to give specifics like he has just done, but to maybe do the propaganda, which is necessary. Propaganda is not negative. It's only negative when you do it from a negative perspective and when you do it without fact. That is what is required during a time of war. Like what we explained the other day, that wars are fought on the media. And you've seen governments are taking the media warfare very seriously. And so, in this crusade, fighting the war on the media, our people deserve to be updated every day with accurate information. Now, we also look around what others are saying, not really searching, but the information naturally gets to us, and sometimes we need to debunk. In regards or in relation to this draft that is coming out on Saturday, we've had haters, coup plotters, failures, bandits, criminals are now lying to the Amazonian public, like we caption, in wait of their doom. The question is, anyone who has gone to the website, who has read through the lawsuit, may wonder who is now saying the truth, especially when you hear the arrogance with which some of the coup plotters are speaking. And earlier on, I heard you girls ask the question: is it out of ignorance or out of arrogance? I would say for Chris Anus, it is both ignorance and arrogance. He is outrightly ignorant and he's outrightly arrogant. For individuals like Mike Fusi, I would say it is also ignorant and a lot of arrogance and evil inclusive. I saw a caption that came in from him, and he's trying to claim or pretend that perhaps the monies are being raised for something else. I don't want to read that. I don't want to go through the what exactly or what verbatim. But this is what I want to tell Amazonians, and you cannot separate the draft that is coming up this Saturday with what the government has done in relation to the lawsuit. Now, coup plotters are aware that they are in the soup, but what do they want to do? They are not only fighting to tarnish the image of the president, but also to deceive those who are donating to them, that they still have something in place. Now, they've all gone out on a crusade. I just read a post on Facebook right now, someone saying that you have to do audit before the draft. My challenge to all the coup plotters, they should come out and talk to us. Who or which leader in the Ambazonian struggle from 1961? I don't want to limit the achievement of Dr. Sacco for the 5 years, because there's nobody that has achieved 50% of what he has achieved since 2016 until today. It's history we are speaking. If you want to contest this fact, bring the figures, and let's talk about it. So from 1961 until today, that's history that has been made. Dr. Sacco has not only achieved more than every person, he has proven that he has a better blueprint than every other. So I'm going to say a lot of things to encourage Amazonians as to why the draft on Saturday is an effective yes all. Even coup plotters, their livelihood, their future is dependent on this draft that is being launched on Saturday. Because a person like Chris Anus, we might probably be going to jail. And if not going to jail, he may not have any future in the United States. And if we do not launch this draft on Saturday and win it, he may just be, you know what they call a vagabond, a child moving in the streets, helpless, and just in a few months to come, he will just be as helpless as anything and will not have a place to call home. Now, from information that I've gathered, authentic information that I've gathered, I want to talk a little bit about the Amazonian Treasury and the draft. The Treasury is ready, accounts are ready. We have confirmation that by tomorrow, the last accounts from different continents, because the Intel government is setting accounts in different continents to make sure that this is happening. Just to encourage you and to add up to what Nijo has just said, from the data that we have in the newsroom, I believe by tomorrow and Saturday we'll be revealing to the public, more than 100,000 US dollars has already been drafted. And I begin to think what will happen, therefore, by Saturday, because before tomorrow, there are chances that it will be encouraged. You see, there is excitement from the grassroots, from the home front. You have people from the home front calling me even at the time I'm sleeping to say, "Hey, when I know hear that way, Chris Arnos the top made that draft go on." The people are Amazonian stakeholders and donors are giving lavishly because they trust the person who is at the helm, because they have seen for themselves that the blackmailers on the social media do not have enough facts to substantiate their blackmail. I give a most recent example, and that's where I'll round off. It's a certain individual who calls himself a Dr. Eppa. A few days ago, Eppa came on ABS television to tell Amazonians that Dr. Sacco might even go to jail, to justify reasons why they did what they did in the ghetto, purportedly an impeachment. And now he has an exhibit A, an audio that he is saying, but you know, ladies and gentlemen, like his brother Chris Anos, he's saying, ladies and gentlemen, after all, we were doing this in wait and in hope that Nachop and Chris Anos were going to provide for us some evidence. So as we speak, these fellows do not, they already passed judgment. So for those who are listening, after now, to still listen to them. That's how I consider anyone who believes in them. Why should you believe in a person who does something and then comes back the next time to admit to you that, listen, I've done a mistake? They have said it with their mouth that they actually made a mistake. Now, out of arrogance, you still have Arno trying to make you feel or to think that they have taken the treasury. That's not true. They have not taken the treasury. The challenge we're giving to them is that whatever is there, they can't use it. If Chris Arno should tell you that they should remove some amount of it, let him tell Marianta to remove some money from there and pay his ABS just to prove that they have it. Let them spend $1 from it. I know arrogantly and stupidly or ignorantly, they might attempt to use a very pinch of it, but whatsoever has been used, the money that has been paid for the lawyers in the lawsuit, close to 100,000 US dollars, Chris Arno and his friends will definitely pay that money, because, like I said earlier on, it is a win-win. At any time you go into an account in the United States with an attempt to remove money in an account that is not your account, you have committed wire fraud, and that's felony. That's a federal crime. A federal crime in America is tantamount to imprisonment. Your documents, even as a resident, can be withdrawn. As a citizen, you can be restricted from even having a job. So this information is important. Now, to tell you, the draft on Saturday is going to be a big one. I cannot wait. And from my LGA, I've already drafted. Amazonians are drafting big time, irrespective of what they said. Coup protests did not start today to campaign against donation. In October, they did it. A few days later on, about a month later, Amazonians donated to Dr. Sacco 70,000 US dollars, and this coup plotter stole it. After then, they have campaigned. They have gone on air to tell you not to donate. What Dr. Sako don, rallies or mobilizes for one night, coup plotters have been unable to rally for all their time on TV, trying to beg money. Put all of what they have done together, it has been rallied by Dr. Sako for one night. Thank you very much. I thought that the draft is
Thank you
coming very
very
close,
much, too.
and this information is important for the public. Thank you.
All right, thank you, too, for that, Dave. Thank you.
All right, we have a breaking news here, and we want to take it. Meanwhile, Nijo and Mr. Ta, please hold on. We'll definitely come back to you in a jiffy.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
This is a breaking news coming in from Ungo Kentuja, captioned, Ungo Kentuja's special communication. Caution to the population of Baba 1 in particular on the planned action of No Pity tomorrow, the 3rd of June 2022.
The Ungaketunja Defense Chair shout out, quotes, "It is rather unfortunate that no PT if the Marine Force has become difficult in his recent quest to silence every other fighter whom he sees as a prominent fighter. This has led to the death of many fighters under the command of no PT, which is an unacceptable outcome of our expectation," end of quote.
He continues to say, "We are saddened with such behavior from no PT, and by this, we want to caution the population of Baba 1 to avoid any planned gathering on the 3rd of June by no PT, as this could be damaging to the population and fighters due to La Republic terrorists being on alert to attack the venue. The arrest and torture of General Shamuel by no PT and his boys is totally against the plight of Ambazonians and the people of Baba 1 in particular."
Ngakatunja County do condemn such actions of arresting, torturing other fighters for no just reasons apart from the quest to exert supremacy. We call on FM No PT to continue to fight our common enemy rather than digging holes that will consume him along his one-man show business pathway. Ngakatunja Ambazonia Restoration Forces have no interest in fighting each other or fighting for positions, as our focus remains that of combating the enemy, La Republic du Cameroon terrorists.
That, I think, should be easy for every fighter in Ambazonia, but it is heartbreaking to hear what No PT is doing. Of course, we have Nijo and Mr. Tar still here in the studio. Let's hear what they have to say about this breaking news. Right, Nijo, let's start with you. What's your thoughts?
Yes, I think I would like Nijo to take the lead if he's still there. Well, he seems frozen, so I may just have to give a word. Perhaps Nijo has joined a meeting with the president. Now, looking at what is happening, I would say that it is disgraceful. And when you see the young man No PT that has been so enhanced, financed by the Goketunja County and the current leaders of the interim government, his behavior is based on the evil counsel from some demented Confucianists, some nonchalant rascals in the diaspora. You initially was Cho Ayaba and Kapodanye, and now Chris Anu has joined the crusade to disorientate these youngsters. He said it on his TV yesterday. I was reliably informed that he talks with no pity every day. Now, if you are a leader and you're talking to a fighter and the fighter is killing Amazonians, therefore, what are you talking to? What are you saying to that fighter? When the interim government is mobilizing forces to fight Cameroon, Cho Ayaba, Capo Dania, Chris Anus, they are mobilizing forces to fight against Amazonians. Why then will it not be very logical for us to conclude that these individuals are working under Cameroon's paycheck? It is a very logical and acceptable analysis. Now, what is happening in Goketunja, or what the Coopers, with the help of Chris Anus, are trying to do in Goketunja, will definitely not work. But this is the risk which I'm communicating this message. I've sent the message to No Pity. He is placing his life at risk. Why? Because this is how Cameroon and Coopers and the Cho Ayabas work. When they send you for a mission, you're at risk because you can have the opposing fighters either gun you down or they will kill you to make it seem as though someone else did it. Cameroon did it the other day to Mr. Lukong. They took him from his house on a day that Amazonian Restoration Forces have declared that nothing is supposed to happen, and they sent him out. Now, the people pardoned him. Cameroon soldiers came in the night, kidnapped him without identification, and then slaughtered him. Definitely not the Restoration Forces. Now, he's no more. His family is crying because of greed. One of the reasons No Pity is behaving recalcitrant is because he's now more interested in the resources that he gets from different sources than from freeing the homeland. Because if he has a genuine intention, the Amba peace plan, it's a framework that any genuine fighter cannot avoid from. It's all about your people knowing you, relating with you, feeding you, enhancing you, and financing you. So why will you deny something that has to do with a partnership? A partnership as a guerrilla fighter. You've got to partner with your community and with yourself. How come you will stand against a sane partnership, an honorable partnership with your community? Your community backs you up, protects you. That is the Amba Peace Plan. Backs you up, protects you, finances you. If you deny that, then your agenda must be checked. So it is cautioning, I think, that through this platform, which is the only genuine platform in this revolution that can speak the truth to Amazonians, it is just a painful thing to see that a young man who was so respected and so sponsored after the Ngokitunja incident that took place last year, the president, Dr. Samuel Ikomesako, sent close to 6 million francs CFA as appreciation to No Pity. And he took the money for himself. He did not give it. If No Pity thinks I'm lying, all his listeners, Chris Anos and the others, should go and tell him. There are receipts, there are proofs that 6 million francs CFA was given to No Pity after the incident at the Sabgahi last year. You had other fighters who were not very happy that that money was given to No Pity. Now, if the person who has financed you more than all other has suddenly is speaking now and you cannot listen, I think that's evil. It's risky. No Pity should learn from past errors. Every Amazonian fighter who has taken that path has been wasted, has disappeared. You might just get up one morning and you're no more. Why? Is it because Amazonians don't want you? It's because you've opened the door for the enemy to wipe you out. So this is, as we're approaching the draft on Saturday, it's important for Amazonians to understand why we need to enhance and equip the genuine Amazonian Restoration Forces. The launch, I say, is a yes, yes, yes. And I want to congratulate everybody who is already drafting. The genuine Amazonian Restoration Forces have got to be empowered, and you can do that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, we all are looking towards to the draft. Now, because of how important the draft is, we have this editorial that was recorded some time ago, and we just want you to listen to it again.
Our 22 success was an inspiration for all, and Undaunted news crew has drawn into that inspiration to bring forth this insightful, the Amba War Draft Manifesto. The Amba War Draft is the citizens' contract, the patriots' pledge, the fighters' covenant, the victims' appeal, and the people's mandate to defend the statehood of Ambazonia with any and every weapon of consequence against the expansionist and occupationist regime of French Cameroons. The Amba War Draft is a sacred nationhood survival ritual besides other signature revolutionary programs and slogans initiated by the leadership of President Samuel Sako of the interim government of Ambazonia. Amongst other things, the Amba War Draft is a national bond to furnish the Ambazonia liberation struggle with all the material requirements and necessities by way of responsibility sharing. 1. The Amba War Draft is Ambazonia liberation contract between the people and their political destiny. 2. It's the patriot's sacred vow undertaken to free Ambazonia of all forms of unjust, illegitimate, and illegal occupation. 3. It's a solemn confession to end the state of political annexation and subjugation in the Cameroons. 4. It's a commitment by citizen and household to engage in the process of self-rule and independence. 5. The Amba War Draft is a mandate to fulfill the wishes and aspiration of the people of Ambazonia in their determination to re-establish the statehood. 6. It's one of the symbols of collective sacrifice aimed towards the protection of the Commonwealth and cultural heritage of the joint political estate of the former British Southern Cameroons. 7. The Amba War Draft is a political ritual for nationhood survival, identity evolution, and consciousness revival. 8. It's a patriot's pledge to undo enemy decrees of tyranny and oppression in Ambazonia. 9. It's a fighter's covenant to pay the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. 10. It's an expression of legitimacy symbolized in the mandate to deploy all lawful and acceptable means to liberate the people. 11. It's the occasion to share with the people suffering and misery. 12. It's the moment to covenant oneself with the fighter's sacrifices. 13. It's one of the revolutionary keys and passwords to the realm of the supreme national orders of honor. 14. It's a call to arms to all able and willing Ambazonians to engage the common enemy with every available means. 15. It's the victim's appeal to the conscience of humanity. 16. The Amba War Draft is a war cry for sons and daughters of Ambazonia. 17. It is a testament to the people's faith and backing of the interim government. 18. Is the absolute and final resolve by a people to join the Civilian League of Free-Thinking Societies. 19. The Amba War Draft is a shoulder-to-shoulder, hand-to-hand brotherhood of burden sharing for humanity. 20. It's a justice motto and freedom slogan for Ambazonia. 21. It's a delicate war tradition to unleash the righteous power of victory against ordinances of servitude. 22. The War Draft is a competence and capacity building platform to enhance forces of self-defense. On this most sensitive occasion each year, the leadership of Ambazonia rallies all sons and daughters on the strength of a special message under the war jingle to prepare in body and spirit to be one with the restoration fighters at the home front. The people attend their duties fulfilling wartime obligations with pledges of material values and bridges of human endeavors. The ritual begins and ends with one article, which is the political survival and defense of Ambazonia as an independent English-speaking nation. We hope this will be your inspiration to double your effort this year 2022. But first, visit our website at www.abcambertv.com. Subscribe as a club member and enjoy the latest and best from Ambazonia.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
And with that sports report, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, here is a recap of our major stories.
The Cameroonian National Oil and Gas Corporation, SNH, denied any involvement in the Glencore corruption case. The UK is throwing a once-in-a-lifetime celebration for Queen Elizabeth II Platinum's Jubilee. Dr. Martin Mungwa has sent a statement by the interim government on fake news propagated by some French Cameroon-sponsored media outlets. Mundi, released or rescued, who is lying? Sources say more than 80 million francs CFA was paid to the ADF both by family and government. Our 22 pre-draft launch is a few days away. What's happening? Coup plotters' actions and reactions are based on arrogance or ignorance and or both, says an observer.
That was it for tonight's Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. On behalf of Star Smart and the entire Undaunted crew, I wish to say thank you for tuning in. I am Onyi Okbala. I will leave you with ABC Amber TV images. Stay tuned. Good night.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.